Now, campaigns are heating up in Ejisu as parties begin to cover ground ahead of the by-election in just 8 days. Now, 3 out of the 6 candidates cleared by the Electoral Commission to go into the election are running as independent candidates, including former MPP Member of Parliament, Akufo-Addo. As the campaigns heat up, parties have already begun playing the political card. Roads Minister Francis Asensu is warning constituents of Ejisu against voting for any other candidate rather than the NPP's Akufo-Addo.
After the recent elections where some constituencies voted skirt and blouse, things haven't been smooth in Parliament. Though we are in government, we don't have absolute majority in Parliament. I'm pleading with you all. Let us consider the good works of John Kuma. If we bring someone outside the MPP, they will impede government policies. It is important to vote someone from the party in power as MP.
Another party candidate and as another party MP. Now parliament, lobby for Rosa. What to me? Ain't happening. Then I mentioned MPP Ejisu Omeyi a brand Zebia. Ne woman Nimno a Bonti Asieso. Was being here. I don't know where homegrown one amount Matitino. Now we will be swap Nanano or brand who was it. And you are here. So no Pia Ubra was here. Who was the castle saying? Who was in the SDN? Want to be more grown down. Because
as we speak, the party in power has a candidate in the race. If you vote an independent candidate or someone from opposition, how can they come to me to lobby for road projects? He can't. It cannot happen. Thank God the NPP in Ejisu have elected a brilliant young man.
Just last week, former MPP Member of Parliament for the area, Akufo-Addo, filed a nomination to contest the election as an independent candidate. The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bernard Enchibo-Siako, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, at a press conference accused the NDC of pushing former MP to go independent, promising to investigate the matter.
Honorable, Ajay was the MP. Then he was a minister. Then you came to overthrow him. Then you also become deputy minister. Then John Kuma also came to overthrow you. So now why you don't want to follow the party? You know, is it NDC people who are pushing you? Is it NDC people? We are going to go deep to it. MPP have helped you. So if MPP have helped you, you cannot be disloyal to this party who has helped you. If we ask you what do you have, as what the MPP have helped you or done for a Ejisu constituency, this is what you can boast for. So if you don't allow Akufo-Addo to go, so how can your turn also will come? When it will be your turn. You see, so we are a political party. We are a very strong party. Even when John Kuma is there, John Kuma beat him. You know, so Honorable Akufo-Addo is going to beat him. They call him lawyer go, lawyer come. You know, lawyer go, lawyer come. This is what we are going to do. And at the moment, development is what the Ejisu people need. And I'm going to support you to make sure all their needs and their wants, we try to do as much as we can.
Now let's get a thought of a political scientist on this matter. We've been joined via Zoom by political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asah Asante. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Could this be deemed to be just a simple campaign talk and therefore no need to create a fuss about?
Good evening, Kojo. And let me state here and now that statement is irresponsible, reckless, and it should not come from anybody who have put in office to serve our interests. He must bow his head in shame. You don't make a statement like this. You are not running a private business. It's a public business. And why do you threaten people? Why do you want to deny their choice? They have every right to decide who should lead them. So, on what basis are you saying that you cannot come to me and all that? Are you running a public office? He must be told that he is serving a public office and he must go down and read about Aristotle, who says that, look, any government that doesn't serve the interests of the people is an aberration, an illegitimate government. All right. Consequence for that is when people rise up and vote against you. I'm not sure you want to cross the path of what? The electorate. All right. Is that what we bargain for? That we elect people who will come to office and then make statements like this? People have the right to decide who should lead them at a point in time. That is why it is called election. Otherwise, it will be what? Nomination and appointment. Right? So at a point in time, when the seat becomes vacant, people campaign and then people solicit for vote. Your language is a language that reflects the problems, the aspirations of the people. That's it. If you don't have any message, you don't speak as if that the public business that we have entrusted in your care, that be responsible for road construction, you are now going to use to reward and punish people based on what? The choice that they make. That's unfortunate. It's an insult to us. We as the taxpayers will put you there.
Okay. Now, what do you expect the government to do? Because he's a member of the government, and the government's silence on this matter may be deemed as an endorsement of what he said. So, for you, as a Ghanaian, what's your expectation of how government should approach this case?
The government must come out clean and condemn this. But it's becoming one too many. You recall the statement the president made about Atekunfi, all right? That also ties in what he said at voter reading. It tells you a certain mindset within the party, but that must be disabused, that nobody is running any public business, and that it is we who put you in government. Democracy comes from two words: demos, the people; kratin, kratos, rule of the people. So at each point in time, they must remember that you are ruling in our interests. If it is not in our interest, then it becomes what? A favoritism. And there are three strands. Either it's a family government, that is what, nepotism, or it is a chronic government of friends, or it is what? A patronage, that it is for a certain political expediency. Any of this does not match up. It becomes what? An illegitimate what? Government. Okay. And that it is not in the interest of the people. They should be mindful of that. They should be mindful of that. Okay. That government that we put into office is what? The people that we decide that at each point in time, they must organize things on our behalf. Okay. When I say government, it comes from the Latin word gubin, to steer the affairs of the state. Okay. It doesn't mean you are running your private business, for which reason you want to threaten people, you want to deny them of their choice and all that. Campaign, and then make sure that you reach out to the people based on their interest, aspiration, and all that. But if you want to threaten them, I want to assure him that threat does not win anybody any power. You incur the wrath of the people, and that when the collective decision they put together, you are likely to suffer. To him, he must take it seriously.
Okay. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Dr. Asah Asante is a political science lecturer with the University of Ghana. We've also been joined by the president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo. Frankly, I'm grateful to you for joining us. What's your thought about the call from the minister? Worrying?
Well, it's not good evening, and good evening to the good professor and yourself. Look, this whole thing is becoming unbecoming. I really did not expect to be hearing these things. But you see, it's been normalized now. That's the nature of our politics. I'm really sad. I don't think it is healthy to be saying that your opponents would not if you vote for your opponent, then it means all development comes to a stop. First of all, the politicians who is saying that should know that it is our taxes that feed him, that he lives on, that helps him make decisions. So he has no right, absolutely no right to even make that suggestion at all. It's unfortunate he said that. Maybe, of course, he's in the spirit. And sometimes when you're on political platforms, you get consumed by the all kinds of spirits. But it is certainly not the best comments to have been made at all. And what worries me in all of this is that, let's just take it that in the event that the person they don't want to win actually wins, what it means is that the so-called development that was started will then therefore come to a halt. You know what that means? That means whoever has been mobilized to get onto site to continue the project would have to leave the site because it's not going to be paid. Mm-hmm. And for the next 3-4 years, nothing will happen until someone else comes to power and decides to continue the road. You know what happens thereof? The cost of that road project would have been doubled. Why do we do these things to ourselves? Yeah. I was just saying to your on the top story that I'm currently consulting with a number of British and one other Ghanaian. We're currently consulting with the British government, where we are discussing this very issue about reasons why our fiscal situation becomes the way it becomes and becomes crazy, and that they want to support the government so that we stop doing these kinds of things. And one prominent member of the Ghanaian society appeared before us today and was saying exactly the same thing, that we abandon projects and then the project cost gets ballooned. And exactly what the minister is displaying. Does he even understand what he's saying? That there will be no project, they will not continue the project, that the cost of the project would have tripled. This is not what we need at this time. And it's hurting to hear this.
Does this have any potential of influence in the choice of constituents at the poll?
Even if it did, it would have been procured, it would have been victory procured through fraud. The problem about this is that the people, assuming the people decide that, well, maybe they are scared, and so then if they did that, that's unfair. But on the other hand, if the people go ahead and vote for their preferred candidate, they should not be mistreated or punished at all. Okay. So I don't see it happening in any way. But these people are voting according to their conscience. You recall the last by-elections,
yes,
where people were virtually, the whole town was almost seeing development 24/7.
As in North.
But people voted against the candidate anyway. And I don't think that's the best way to use our resources.
Okay. Grateful to you, Franklin, for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Now, we're beginning to learn more about the broad resolutions designed by the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament to fix the current power crisis after days of meeting all players in the power sector. The country continues to grapple with an acute power crisis worsened in the last few days. The committee has announced 8 resolutions directed at all the players in the sector. According to Chairman of the committee, Samuel Atacha, the committee is asking President Akufo-Addo to direct Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam to do everything possible to raise money to purchase fuel to power the thermal plant after it was observed that the current intermittent power supply has been caused by a lack of fuel because there is simply no money. Samuel Atacha spoke at JoyNews' national dialogue on the power crisis.
To a very reasonable extent, the issues were clear to us and the problems too were obvious. And I didn't see anybody trying to say that, oh, you overruled in terms of what you are trying to accept as a problem that is conflicting in this. So it was a congregation of the key players in the supply chain. And that was a very comprehensive engagement, and it became clear to us. So we tabled about, let me count, we tabled about, I think, 8 observations and sent to the president, the stakeholders themselves, to the speaker, and then the majority leader and the minority leader, for them to understand what is going on. And then we expect that action will be taken on some of these matters to bring us to normalcy. Okay. Bear in mind that for good measure, close to over 7 years now, we have had power. So I have always said that why should we say that the closing chapter of the president, we should come to this kind of situation. So he is acutely aware of some of the challenges that is affecting the sector now. and he owes it to his name to remedy it. We said that the president should secure the synergy among the critical players in the power value chain, especially the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Energy, the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, the Chief Executive of the Volta River Authority, and the Chief Executive of Critical. We're very, very much concerned about it. One issue that cropped up was, as Riley said, fuel. So we said the Minister for Finance should use every financial activity to make available to the generator, namely TAPCO, TICO, TT, T1PP, TT2PP, Ameri, and the rest of them, same power and the rest of them. That if these are thermal setups and critically, without the availability of fuel, they will not be able to generate what to expect. And it's a money issue, and it should be found because the cost, the economy of having power outages sometimes is incalculable. So the money should be found to ensure that fuel is secure for these markets. And then we can be assured of a very consistent power generation.
Well, Samuel Atacha says the committee resolved that the players in the power sector must adhere to the cash waterfall mechanism and ensure that it works.
We were very concerned about the cash waterfall mechanism, which is that, according to the players, the safest arrangement, ECG should rake in the money, and the money should be applied so that those who are generating the power will also have adequate money to continue, so that the circle of business will not be curtailed. We are 100% aware of some of the challenges that ECG is going through, but nevertheless, it is imperative that the cash waterfall mechanism should work. And if there are anything that the government should do so that ECG should stand on its feet about some of this, but we are also told that if and when they comply fully with the cash waterfall mechanism, they might suffer operational challenges. But the regulator said, well, that could not be something of concern to us. We should go by it. So let's look at what will make ECG comatose without probably they putting their hand in the cash waterfall mechanism. And let's see whether there will be a way to resolve this. We are also very much concerned that, ECG had a climb of revenue from about 69.7 million out, in 2021, and it went up to about 10 billion out in 2023, which is to say that they are determined to plug in the loopholes in terms of the generation returns. That if you have about 27% of what you generate being losses, I don't see how any serious undertaking can post profits if 27% of what is supposed to be your revenue goes down the drain. And if it means serious recapitalization of the nation's major electricity distributor, we should do so. So, in short, these are some of the matters we pried into, and then we also profit the views of the committee. And then the president has it. The generators of power, everybody in the value chain is aware of what you've tabulated. And we pray that very soon we shouldn't go through the crisis we find ourselves.
Over the weekend, the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, described the current power crisis as government's Achilles heel, so vowing that government will fix the situation. He also announced a raft of measures, including instructing the ECG, just PRC has done, to maintain a single bank account for the collection of revenues. He was speaking to journalists at the end of the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C.
The energy sector continues to be our Achilles heels. And the current outages is quite disturbing. We are not happy about it ourselves. But the problems in the energy sector have accumulated for years. We have addressed some of these challenges, but some of them are also emerging that needs immediate attention. And so under the leadership of His Excellency the President, we have agreed to a number of measures that we have started implementing. And in due course, very, very soon, the people of Ghana will see the results of these interventions. Particularly the cash waterfall mechanism, which faced some challenges, is being repositioned to deliver and to achieve its objective. The revenue collection by ECG really has improved, but we haven't gotten to where we want to get to. We want ECG to collect, to populate the cash waterfall mechanism to the levels that can provide cash flow to all the other SOEs in the value chain.
Now, the intermittent power outages continue to have a devastating effect on businesses across the country. These essential businesses are grappling with installed production, financial losses, and mounting frustrations. In our latest episode of Doomsday Diaries, who puts the spotlight on the mining industry, which is responsible for processing some of our favorite staple foods, but has begun to suffer setbacks due to Doomsday. Kenneth Jesse has more.
Seated alone in his milling shop, Samson waits on ECG to restore the light that was taken several hours ago. This has become a regular occurrence at Asufa, near Ofanko Barrier in the Greater Accra region and other parts of the country. Lights go off at unexpected times, with no one knowing when it will be restored. Samson mills corn, tomatoes, and kenke. His customers come to his shop as early as 4 a.m., and that's usually the period the lights go off the most.
Because it's a money thing, they have to come and grind and then go and make sure that they prepare for their children for school. So that's why they come early. So when they come and then the light is off, it worries them.
So what do? They take it back?
They go back and leave their container here or their rubbers here for the next day. That means that day they will not work. So what the work they did yesterday, that's what they have to depend on today. So that means that your life is going back. So this light off, something has to be done about it.
The location of Samson's shop means he does not attract as many customers as he would have wished. He tells me that majority of the milling shops are located at market centers and people prefer sending the items there to bringing it where he is. That, coupled with Doomsday, is taking a toll on his business.
You know, sometimes when the lights go off and then they bring it back and it is low current, it affects our machines. If you're not careful, this motor can just bend, and it's going to take you about 2,000 plus before you rewind it, and it's not going to be an easy thing. And I would like the government to be sincere to the country that this is what's going on, because we have various problems already that cannot be solved. We are just there, like we are not in our country. So we would like them to be sincere. Tell us what is going on, what they want to do with our life, because this is our life. Without work, what are you living for?
When customers bring their dry meals to Samson's shop for milling, or Samson buys one himself for the same purpose and there is no power, they leave it in his care in anticipation that the light will be restored by the time they return. But that is not always the case. This often results in the items going bad due to how delicate and tender they are. The customers lose money, and so does Samson.
Sometimes when you go and buy the kenke for the kenke, and then the customers come and grind, and then unfortunately the light is off, and they go back. That means that the next day you cannot use the kenke again. It will spoil, so you have to go and buy another one. So that means that money is just gone. You will not get anything at the end of the day. So, and then the maize too, the corn too, when you soak it, let's say 3 days, and then unfortunately the light is off, you realize that though you can grind it and then get it, but you cannot get the quantity that you want, because it will reduce. It is too much soaked, so it will reduce quantity that you are expecting. So that means that whatever you're supposed to get out of it, or let's assume that maybe if you sell it, you get like 200 Ghana cedis, it may reduce to 100 Ghana cedis or 150.
Asah and its surrounding communities are known for experiencing erratic power outages, popularly known as Dumso. This was evident when the news team arrived in the community at around 2 in the afternoon. The lights were off and had been so since the dawn of that day. Their plea for a Dumso timetable seems to have fallen on deaf ears. For JoyNews, Kenneth Jesse.
This is still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll still have more news for you here on the show. Do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, award-winning journalist Asah Asante is advocating for a concerted effort to enact policies aimed at curbing illegal mining activities in gold-rich regions of Ghana. According to him, Ghana must learn from the U.S. where they fix land damaged by small-scale mining, and that is done quickly to put the land to good use. There is more in this report by Michael Naawa.
In the observance of International Earth Day under the global theme, Planet vs. Plastics, Erastus Asare-Donkor, renowned for his work on the Poison for Gold documentary, delivered a comprehensive analysis on small-scale mining in Ghana and the USA titled Climate Change, Environmental Regulation and Mining at the U.S. Embassy in Accra. The prevalence of galamsey in Ghana is staggering, with thousands of individuals and communities involved in these activities, especially in gold and mineral-rich areas. Illegal mining has led to the pollution of over 60% of Ghana's water bodies, resulting in the loss of drinking water sources and farmlands for numerous communities. Delivering his speech, Erastus Asare-Donkor highlighted the importance of regulating small-scale mining in Ghana, drawing on the experiences of the U.S.
So in Ghana, unregulated use of heavy equipment, open pit mining, but in the U.S., they have various sources of detecting gold. They have the geological data. They have several technologies to detect gold. They do environmental impact assessment. And I was in Phoenix, and there, it's either you're mining in public lands or you're mining in private lands. If you're mining in public lands, it comes with a rigorous environmental impact assessment. You have to submit it. And they have to put it to scrutiny, assess air quality, water quality. And if they do not meet the standards, that's the end of it. No mining. It won't happen. And whilst you're mining, they also come there to supervise. And I found something that was so interesting. Aside the regulatory oversight that they do, they have that trust that the company itself will do a good job. As well as the company that does the impact assessment and everything, sends videos and photos to the regulatory agency, they go through it. If something is not working, they compare it, notes, then they send people down there. Can it happen in Ghana? I have hope.
He proposed policy measures aimed at effectively halting illegal mining in the country.
If we get more media institutions coming on board, and I'm throwing an invitation to all journalists in Ghana, if we have more media institutions devoting time to this, we'll be getting somewhere. After all, the government is just a few people in a Flagstaff house, but the media represents a larger number of people, and we have a voice for the people. We should be able to put the effects out there, let the people know, empower them, and let them fight from the ground, and help save their own space.
In an interview with JoyNews, Erastus Asah Asante urged the Ghanaian government to rigorously enforce laws to disassociate the nation from political entanglement related to mining and environmental issues.
What we should be doing is to be enforcing the very fine laws we have, the will, so that we can also distance ourselves politically from mining and environmental issues. And I think that it's not something that we cannot do. The government, the various stakeholders, there should be nothing political about this. We should bring all hands on board and make sure that the environment is saved for future generations.
The health of people, especially newborn babies living in Galamsey-affected communities, are at a greater risk than ever before. The call is on government to act faster to reverse the trend. For JoyNews, Michael Na-Ewa's report, read to you.
Let's do some election stories now. Election headquarters is brought to you always by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Chartered Institute of Management Accountant and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty. Election headquarters for an informed electorate. Now, some members of the New Patriotic Party who joined Alan Chamantin's movement for change have returned to the MPP, now cutting ties with the Butterfly movement. According to them, they trust MPP flag bearer Dr. Bawumia's solutions. Former Adenta parliamentary aspirant Alfred Ababi-Okumi leads the group.
It has become evidently clear that we made a mistake, and I'll repeat, it has become evidently clear that we made a mistake that we humbly admit and ready to work to ensure that its dire effect is reversed or averted. Since the 7th February 2024 speech by His Excellency the flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we have been asking ourselves questions that borders on the future of this country and the very Ghana that we young people want. It has become unarguably clear that amongst all the political leaders, Dr. Bawumia has so far been the one who has clearly articulated the Ghana story. Where we have come from, where we have what we have to achieve. In order for us to realize the dream of seeing the Ghana we want or seeing Ghana grow, we are left with no other choice than to rally behind that one leader in our time today, amongst all several of them, who has clarity of thought, amongst the several of them, who has clarity of thought, committed to the Ghana dream, who has a proven track record of delivering on what he has been assigned to, and has the mindset of solving problems. That leader without debate is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The National Democratic Congress, under the flag bearership of former President John Dramani Mahama, presents a plan for our country that raises serious concerns as we approach the 2024 general elections. What we sitting here call the scary alternative. The scary alternative. Here are the reasons why we cannot entrust Ghana to the former president. One, or first of all, he has nothing to lose.
Now, Alfred Ababi-Okumi assured that their decision was not influenced by money or the MPP, but by confidence in the party's bold solutions for the future.
You know how difficult it is when you go and you are coming back. Some people will not be happy, even though some people will also be happy. They've encouraged us in a good manner, and they are expecting us to be confident in anything we are doing and just always think clearly and also always think twice about every decision we want to make. I'm saying on authority that nobody has bribed us, and nobody can bribe us. I don't know what me as a businessman, and I don't know who can tell me in this country that they've held my hand to any length. You can't bribe me. We are doing fine. We are perfect where we are. But the time comes, you need to rethink your decision, because it's all about the future of this country and the future we want to see for our kids. As a father, yes.
Away from that, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, says reintroduction of free sanitary pad initiative will be a priority if successful in staging a comeback to office. It is one of the demands made by teacher unions in a document presented to the political parties for inclusion into the NDC's manifesto for the upcoming elections. The policy that was intended in the previous John Mahama administration was largely criticized by opposition parties. In a meeting with the teacher unions, the former president reviewed intentions to mainstream STEM and TVET education into secondary schools. Mr. Mahama made other pronouncements to overhaul education in the country.
The provision of free sanitary pads for female learners in both basic and senior high schools was initiated under the SWAL NDC administration. If you remember, our opponents now in government mocked us and called it the pad loan. For you, the unions, to have raised this as an issue in the concerns that you have presented to us means that our policy on sanitary pads was well thought through and needs to be looked at again. The NDC policy of infrastructure development will again be pursued vigorously to decongest the large class sizes. Abandoned infrastructure in the basic and senior high schools and TVET schools, including the famous E-blocks, will receive priority attention under a new NDC administration. The need to review and improve upon the free SHS TVET policy is no longer debatable. And Angel just mentioned it. We are happy we are on the same wavelength with regards to that. It is a must that we look at the implementation of free SHS again through stakeholder engagements to address the numerous challenges and strengthen its positives. It is thus not surprising that you have incorporated it into the document that you have presented us, which I call the Teachers' Manifesto. We're going to mainstream TVET and STEM into all secondary schools. We don't believe that STEM and TVET should be standalone in special secondary schools. We must mainstream them through all the secondary schools. And so in this regard, we will revamp the science resource centers in order that clusters of schools can use those centers. Luckily for us, the E-blocks have 4 laboratories in every E-block, and those laboratories are going to be used for TVET and STEM education. The imperative of the Free SHS Secretariat being supervised by the Education Directorate is our considered view. The Education Service, which is an implementing agency, has the capacity to implement the Free SHS policy. So we do not agree on a standalone Free SHS Secretariat. We think that it must be integrated into the Education Service as an implementing agency. The NDC will therefore integrate the Free SHS Secretariat into the Education Service Directorate and not have them exist as separate entities. I announced to the CHAS representatives last week that we would decentralize the school feeding program and return the responsibility for feeding the students to the schools.
Well, Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosolio Clean Fuel in full quantity, Chartered Institute of Management Accountant, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountant and the German Zone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty. Election Headquarters for an informed electorate. This is still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take